When life gets a little too noisy, it helps to just slow down and look ahead to something that feels a bit comforting. I was sitting down the other night thinking about how fast this year's been moving, and I started browsing through some of the games releasing next month. August has a quiet little charm to it. Not too crowded, not too quiet either. And there's this gentle mix of new titles coming out that honestly made me feel a bit excited in that calm, cozy way. So I thought, why not share them here with you? Just a slow, thoughtful list of the 15 best new games coming out in August 2025. Nothing loud, nothing flashy, just a peaceful look at what's arriving soon. If you're someone who likes to take your time with games, explore new worlds without rushing, and maybe discover a title that feels like it was quietly waiting for you, this might be a nice place to start. Let's take a quiet look together. There's something quietly haunting about the way city lights reflect on rain-soaked pavement in the middle of the night. Like the world is wide awake, but whispering. That's the feeling that first pulled me into Midnight Murder Club. Not the mystery, not the action, but the mood. It's the kind of place where everything moves just a little slower, where shadows feel like they're holding secrets, and the silence between footsteps says more than the dialogue ever could. The story unfolds in this strange, elegant rhythm, not rushing you, not dragging you, just letting you wander through dim alleys and velvet lounges while pieces of something darker quietly fall into place. You're not a hero here, not really. Just someone trying to understand what went wrong and maybe why it still matters. The choices you make aren't about winning or losing, they're about listening, noticing, and sometimes walking away. What stayed with me most weren't the plot twists or mechanics, but the small things. A forgotten photograph on a piano, the way one character looked out the window and didn't say a word, the late-night jazz humming through a cracked radio. It's a slow burn for sure, but if you've ever found beauty in quiet sadness, or felt something stir in a moment that didn't try to impress you, you might want to spend some time here. There's a quiet kind of beauty in cobblestone streets just after it rains, the way the old buildings glow under the soft hum of street lamps, and how the past feels close enough to touch. Mafia The Old Country captures that feeling with a kind of quiet confidence, drawing you into a slower, heavier world that feels worn in, but never tired. I really want to show you this one, because it doesn't just throw you into a crime story, it lets you live in it, gently, with moments that feel more like memories than missions. The streets feel alive in a quiet way, not with noise but with weight. The weight of old promises, long stares, and names that still mean something. There's something personal about how the story unfolds too. It's not about being powerful, it's about being torn. Choices don't shout at you here, they wait, sitting in the back seat like an old friend who knows too much. I kept finding myself slowing down, not because the pace demanded it, but because I didn't want to miss the little things. A glance exchanged at the dinner table, the sound of church bells in the distance, the way someone lit a cigarette like they were trying to forget something. If you've ever been drawn to stories that whisper instead of scream, that linger instead of race ahead, you might feel at home in this quiet corner of the underworld. There's something almost sacred about walking through a world where silence speaks louder than words, where every footstep feels like it carries a memory, and the wind itself seems to whisper things you can't quite name. Senua Saga, Hellblade 2 caught me in that space between beauty and pain, where the land feels ancient and alive, and every shadow has its own quiet story to tell. You might have missed this one if you were looking for noise. It doesn't try to impress, it just is, and that's what makes it feel so real. The journey doesn't rush you. It leans in close, inviting you to notice small things. The way Senua breathes when she's afraid, how the light shifts through the mist, the soft, strange music of voices only she can hear. I kept finding myself pausing, not to plan or to win, but just to feel, to sit with the tension, the stillness, the emotion rising quietly between moments. There's weight in every movement, but also a strange kind of peace in the way it all unfolds, like you're walking through someone else's dream, or maybe their grief. It's not easy and it's not gentle, but there's a kind of beauty in how raw and personal it feels, like watching someone find their way back to themselves one painful breath at a time. If you're open to something slower, something more intimate, this one stays with you long after it ends. There's a kind of silence that only happens after everything's been through too much. When the ground is cracked, the sky feels heavy, and the world itself seems tired. Gears of War Reloaded caught me off guard in that way. It's not just the battles that stay with you, it's the moments between them. You move through places that feel abandoned by time, where every wall holds some memory of what used to be, and even the quietest corners feel like they're still listening. I really want to show you this one because under all the weight of war, there's something deeply human here. In the way characters pause before they speak, or how they carry their grief like it's just another piece of gear they can't set down. The pacing never rushes you. It lets you feel the spaces, the echoes, the weight of choices that don't come with easy answers. There's beauty too, in the way light cuts through smoke, in the softness of a friend's voice when everything else is falling apart. And as strange as it sounds, even in the middle of conflict, there's a kind of calm. Like the story knows it's not just telling you what happened, it's showing you why it mattered. If you've ever found peace in the middle of something broken, or listened for meaning in the quiet between storms, you might want to spend some time here. There's something strangely peaceful about watching leaves drift through a jungle where nothing feels still, where even the silence seems alive and every shadow carries a question. Metal Gear Solid Delta. Snake Eater brings that feeling back in a way that's not loud or fast but quietly immersive, like stepping into a memory that's been waiting for you. You might have missed this one if you were only looking for action, but I really want to show you what's underneath. Because what makes it special isn't just the setting or the story, but how deeply it lets you feel the world around you. The way the grass bends under your crawl, the tension in a single breath when you're hiding inches from danger, the quiet reflection in a character's eyes when they realize the mission is bigger than themselves. There's a rhythm here, soft and deliberate, where nature and story move together, and every moment of stillness feels like it means something. I kept noticing little details. The way the light changed when clouds rolled over, or how the sound of a distant bird could feel oddly comforting in the middle of so much uncertainty. And yet, there's a calm strength woven through it all, the sense that even in the loneliest moments, you're still part of something larger. If you've ever felt drawn to stories where the silence speaks just as loudly as the dialogue, or where survival feels more emotional than tactical, this one lingers quietly, long after it ends. There's a moment in Lost Soul Aside where the world opens up in front of you, light spilling across quiet ruins, and a strange calm settling in, even though everything around you feels like it's still healing from something long forgotten. That's what first pulled me in. Not the combat or the speed, but the quiet in-between places, the spaces that made me pause. You might have missed this one if you were only focused on the surface, but there's something deeper here, a softness woven through the chaos, like the story isn't just about fighting, but about finding meaning in motion. I really want to show you this because the way the world flows around you, shifting, glowing, quietly breathing, creates this emotional rhythm that's hard to describe. The movement feels like a kind of language, not just action for the sake of it, but a way of expressing something unspoken. I kept noticing small things. The way your companion flickers in and out of form with a kind of quiet loyalty, or how the music blends with the mood like it was written for your own thoughts. It's all very fluid, like you're dancing through a story that never hurries you even when everything around you moves fast. And at the heart of it all, there's this unspoken ache, a feeling that someone lost something important and they're still searching for it in every step. If you've ever felt drawn to beautiful spaces that speak softly through their design, or to characters who carry weight in silence more than words, this one might stay with you longer than you expect. There's something quietly breathtaking about walking beneath a sky full of fading cherry blossoms, where the wind carries not just petals, but memories. Old ones, sharp ones, the kind that never quite leave. Shinobi Art of Vengeance begins in that kind of silence, not with noise or spectacle, but with stillness, like a moment held just before the blade moves. You might have missed this one if you were only looking for fast combat or flash, but I really want to show you how much heart lives in the quiet spaces. The world feels hand-painted in grief and grace, moonlit rooftops, ancient stone paths, a village that feels like it's holding its breath. Every step you take carries weight, not because of challenge alone, but because of meaning, like you're moving through a story that was never yours, but one you've been asked to finish with care. I kept noticing small details that stayed with me. The way your cloak moves in the rain, how enemies fall without sound, the way the music fades in and out like it's listening to your choices. There's a sadness here, but it's not cold, it's quiet, noble, like the story understands that vengeance doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And if you've ever felt drawn to places where honor and sorrow walk side by side, where beauty lives in both motion and stillness, this one might feel like it was meant for you. There's a certain kind of stillness that only happens at the edge of a world you no longer recognize, when the skies look too big and the earth feels like it's carrying stories no one remembers how to tell. Echoes of the End begins in that stillness, and it holds you there, gently, as if asking you to listen before you act. You might have missed this one if you were skimming for noise, but I really want to show you what it does with quiet. How it builds a world not just from sights and sounds, but from feelings that settle in slowly. The landscapes stretch wide, but they never feel empty. There's a kind of memory woven into every path, every ruin, every strange flicker of light that feels half forgotten. What stayed with me most weren't the powers or the plot, but the way the main character moves, not with urgency, but with weight, like someone who's already lost more than she says. The air itself seems to hum with something old, like echoes of choices that still linger, and the tone of everything invites you to move slowly, to feel your way through. I kept noticing small things, the sound of wind through broken windows, the softness in a voice that doesn't need to shout, the way the world seems to remember you, even when you're unsure of yourself. It's not a loud experience, and it's not trying to be, but if you've ever felt drawn to a story that speaks softly, one where power and vulnerability walk hand in hand, this one might gently find its way into your thoughts and stay there. There's a kind of peace that only comes from quiet mornings, when the town is still stretching awake, and all you hear is the soft rustle of pages and the low hum of a kettle coming to boil. Tiny Bookshop lives in that feeling, and I really want to show you how gently it settles into your day. You might have missed this one if you were chasing something big or loud, but here's something different, something small, thoughtful, and full of heart. You run a little mobile bookshop tucked into a van with chipped paint and soft corners, and you park along winding roads or beside sleepy cafes, setting up shop where stories find their way to people who need them. The rhythm is slow and intentional, choosing what to bring, who to speak to, when to pause and just be. What stood out to me wasn't just the cozy world, but the way it lets you breathe, with soft colors, quiet characters, and a pace that invites reflection more than progress. There's something incredibly comforting about watching the sun set over a town you've come to know, or sharing a favorite book with someone who didn't know they needed it. It's not about winning or finishing, it's about presence, kindness, and all the little moments in between. If you've ever dreamed of a slower life, one filled with gentle routines and meaningful pauses, you might find something quietly special here. There's a quiet kind of fear that settles in just before dawn. Not loud or sudden, but heavy, like the world is holding its breath. Dying light. The beast carries that feeling in a way that's oddly beautiful, and I really want to show you how it lingers. You might expect chaos or violence, but what stayed with me were the silences. Long shadows stretching over broken rooftops, the soft crunch of footsteps on forgotten paths, the way light slowly creeps into a world that's learned to fear the dark. There's something deeply human in how it all unfolds, running not just to survive, but because it feels like flying when the world tries to pin you down. The city breathes with a strange rhythm, tall and ruined, but somehow still alive, filled with tiny moments of stillness between all the tension. And then there's the beast. Not just a monster, but a presence that changes how everything feels, like a storm always just out of view. You don't fight because you're strong, you move because you're scared, and that makes every decision feel real, every rooftop a chance to choose freedom over fear. What surprised me most wasn't the danger, but the quiet beauty in how you face it. Step by step, breath by breath, with the night always watching. If you've ever wanted to feel the world shift under your feet and still find a strange peace in the movement, you might want to stay a little longer here. There's something strangely peaceful about floating through a world that feels both ancient and endless, like the ocean forgot it was ever made of water and learned how to breathe in sand. Sword of the Sea invites you into that silence without saying a word, and I really want to show you why it feels so different. You're not rushing forward, you're gliding, gently carving your way across dunes that rise and fall like waves, while ruins drift by like memories half buried in time. The air carries a soft hum, almost like it remembers music, and every corner of the world seems to carry its own quiet rhythm, calm, haunting, and a little lonely in a way that somehow feels comforting. There's no pressure here, no noise, just the simple act of moving, and somehow that's enough to make you feel completely present. What caught me off guard were the little moments, the way the light shifts as you pass beneath forgotten arches, or how the landscape slowly folds open like a dream remembering itself. It's not about winning or completing anything, it's about drifting through something beautiful, letting the stillness wrap around you like wind through old sails. If you ever need a place to just breathe and lose track of time, you might have just found it. Here's something different, a world where even the quietest moment can carry the weight of deep emotion, and every breath feels like part of something much bigger than yourself. Demon Slayer, the Hinokami Chronicles 2 quietly pulls you into a story filled with loss, hope, and the kind of courage that doesn't always need to shout. What surprised me most wasn't the combat or the visuals, though they are beautiful in their own way. It was the stillness between the action, the way certain scenes just let you sit with the feeling. You might walk through a forest at dusk and feel the silence around you echo with memories, or catch a glimpse of a character's face that says more than any words ever could. There's something deeply human about how it all unfolds, slow, deliberate, and full of care. I really want to show you how even the smallest choices feel meaningful here, not because of what they lead to, but because of how they make you feel in the moment. And when the story gently swells into moments of heartbreak or quiet triumph, it doesn't rush you. It just stays with you, like a soft memory you carry for a while. If you're looking for something that lets you feel everything, not just play, but really feel, this one might stay with you longer than you expect. You might have missed this one, a little moment that quietly unfolds in the simplest of places, a train seat, a passing landscape, and a stranger you didn't expect to meet. Is this seat taken? Isn't loud or showy. It gently draws you into a space that feels oddly familiar, like the quiet hum of travel when your thoughts drift between places. What makes it special is how unhurried everything feels. Each interaction, soft glances, short pauses, a line of dialogue that lingers, feels deeply human, like you're not just watching, but being there. The world outside the window blurs in warm tones while time seems to slow, letting you notice small things, the way someone's voice changes when they talk about something they care about, or how silence can feel full, not empty. I really want to show you how it captures those fleeting connections we rarely speak of, the kind that don't last long, but leave a quiet mark. It's thoughtful without trying to be, and in the end, it leaves you with that soft ache of having shared something meaningful with someone you'll probably never see again. It's tender, reflective, and best experienced slowly, just like a quiet train ride with an open heart. You might have missed this one, a quiet story that unfolds somewhere far from Earth, where loneliness doesn't echo in silence but in the sound of your own voice, split across different versions of who you could have been. The Altars isn't just about survival. It's about reflection, about what happens when you meet yourself in forms shaped by choices you never made. Picture a strange, haunting world wrapped in gold light and steel, where the line between reality and memory bends gently, like heat on a horizon. I really want to show you how it captures the slow weight of isolation, not with fear, but with thoughtfulness, and how each altar you create feels like a quiet question. What if you turned left instead of right? There's something deeply moving in the way the game paces itself, letting you walk through regret, hope, and wonder, not all at once, but in fragments, like piecing together a version of yourself you forgot you were looking for. It's not loud, it doesn't rush. It just sits with you patient and gently asks, if you could meet the other you, what would you say? You might have missed this one, a quiet, strange little story tucked away in ink and shadows, where every corner feels like a memory that's trying to come alive. Bendy, Lone Wolf, SLI has this way of pulling you in gently, not with noise or jump scares, but with atmosphere, the kind that slowly settles around you, like dust in old film reels. There's something oddly comforting about its world, even though it's worn and eerie, like stepping into a forgotten cartoon that's been waiting for someone to find it again. What caught me off guard wasn't the darkness, it was the stillness in between, those slow walks down creaky hallways where the silence feels heavier than anything chasing you. I really want to show you how the art style isn't just a design choice. It feels like part of the story, like the world is drawn out of someone's quiet loneliness and left to unravel on its own. And the moments when you're not running or hiding, just listening, looking, breathing with the world, those are the ones that stayed with me. It's not trying to scare you constantly. It's trying to reach you, and somehow that makes it feel even more alive. Alright, that's all for now. I really enjoyed walking through these moments with you, just sharing a few of the quiet gems tucked into the 15 best new games coming out in August 2025. Whether something caught your eye or just gave you a small reason to pause, I'm glad we could spend this time together. If you feel like leaving a thought in the comments, I'd love to hear what you're looking forward to, or even just what kind of games bring you peace these days. And if you ever want to stop by again, you're always welcome to subscribe. No pressure at all, just if it feels right for you. I'll keep sharing more things like this whenever I can. Softly, slowly, like little conversations that don't need to rush. Thanks so much for being here, truly. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you again soon.